Josh Green here for SecondsOut. Delighted to be joined by Jessica McCaskill here at the launch press conference for McCaskill versus Price. How are you doing, Jessica?
I'm very good. You guys have treated me so well. Thank you for having me.
I was going to say, it's been a little while since you were over in the UK, a number of years since that Katie Taylor fight. What's it like to be back over here?
Well, the fight was in 2017, but I was also here for a Warrington fight in Leeds. I can't remember what year that was, but we've been a little bit back and forth, more than the average person, I would say, but it's always great to be here. Love the sports fans in the UK, and I'm so excited for the fight.
How different is that atmosphere over here to what it is when you fight back home? You're obviously coming into the Lion's Den here. It's a little bit different. What's that like for you?
Well, I know that the fans over here are just very passionate, and they're going to be loud, and my prediction is they're going to start out cheering for Lauren, and then they're going to end up cheering for me. So I love the energy. Whether you're for me or against me, I'm going to take that energy and turn it to whatever I need it to be. So I'm ready for the fight.
Prior to this fight and this matchup being made, how much had you seen of Lauren Price? Just 6 fights into her professional career, still fairly young in it.
Right. I hadn't seen much until Rick Ramos, my trainer manager, mentioned her. So I watched maybe about half a round. I don't really watch a lot of tape. And you just see the kind of typical UK fighter, very textbook, boxing, movements, straight punches, that kind of a thing. So nothing out of the ordinary, and nothing that I would really change my training for.
I think people are saying someone of your experience against someone of Lauren's experience in the professional ranks anyway, it might be a little bit of a soon step up for Lauren. What do you think of that?
Well, some of the conversation that's been had is this is very reminiscent of my fight here in 2017, where I didn't have a lot of fights and I took the challenge, and now she's stepping up and she's taking the challenge, and it's awesome that she's not afraid. There's so many fights that should have been made or should have been made earlier than they were made, and people are afraid or they're waiting around for something and they don't say yes. Well, Lauren Price said yes, so I think that's awesome for her, and she's going to be able to show people what she's got. This is her chance.
I think something that's often put together with women's boxing is people don't shy away from these sort of challenges because there isn't quite the depth there in terms of getting from 5, 6 and 0 right to those world titles. You can't shy away from those challenges when they're there. Do you agree?
I don't think that it depends on the person, really. I mean, okay. Some people can be very oblivious to what boxing is, and they think they're ready and they're not, but we're talking about Lauren Price, who is an athlete, all-around athlete. She's played other sports. She knows what her body can do. She knows what she's ready for. I think she's in a position where she can make that jump, and she'll be okay.
How impressed have you been with the growth of women's boxing? Not just here, especially here. It's been excellent, but worldwide as well. It's become a real attraction, and people are wanting to see these top women's fights.
When I first started, I didn't really have anyone to follow and to look to for examples. I just was kind of doing it on my own, and I followed some of the guys in the gym, and then they stopped boxing. So it was just me and Rick for a long time. But now you can have conversations about the female Olympians that are fighting. You can have conversations about the $1 million paydays. So it's amazing what it started out for me, what it started out as, and now what it is, and I just want to contribute as much as I can to it.
When you think back to those sort of first days when you were lacing up the boots, being a professional, yeah. I bet you kind of imagine this is the sort of position that yourself and the sport would be in.
Yeah, I would always just kind of think, next fight, not really even thinking of something broader. And even my first world title, the WBC in 2018, that wasn't planned to be what it was, and then all of a sudden the opponent switched and the opportunity to fight for the belt came up, and we jumped at it. We said yes, and that's when I won my first title.
Where do you see yourself in your career? Do you still think there's big fights beyond this Lauren Price fight that you can secure?
I definitely think there's big fights. There may be people out there that just haven't come to the forefront. This is my first time hearing of Lauren Price. Just not being from the UK, I'm not going to have all that information. So, there's people out there, and they just need to bring themselves to the forefront, and opportunities are going to get made.
I'm sure there's some fighters from back home that we haven't heard of. Is there any that you can give us?
Well, if you're asking about who I'm looking to fight, we're going to come back over here and talk about TASHA Jonas. She doesn't have a lot of fights left in her career. She's said that, and I would love to be a part of the end of her career.
I was going to say, I saw that interview with Sky Sports News yesterday. Tasha's obviously in the twilight of her career, probably only got 2, 3, maybe 4 more fights left. How much respect do you have for Tasha and what she's achieved in both amateur and the professional ranks?
She's definitely added to what we have going on right now in boxing, and she has the titles to prove it, and she's moved weight classes. She's shown that you can be diverse and very versatile, and I just want to make fights with big names like hers.
I guess because of the depth we've got over here at the moment, you mentioned Tasha, Sandy Ryan as well, who you faced last time out. Katie Taylor's still, she's very busy at the moment with the options on her plate, but there's so many options over here. Could we be seeing you over here a few more times?
Maybe, if everybody else loud enough and gets me going, then maybe I'll decide to come back.
I mean, those options for yourself, how interesting are they? Because they're huge fights in the UK here, and if you were to put on a display against Lauren, more people are going to recognise you, what you've achieved. They could become mega fights.
Oh yeah, my plans are to come over and steal the fans for sure, and sometimes it's all about what the fans want, and they have to be vocal and they have to say what they want, and that's how fights get made sometimes. And Boxer's done a really great job of putting this fight together, and if we work together again past this, it might be for one of those names.
I was able to be a part of Savannah Marshall and Claressa Shields and the whole fight night, all women's fight night, some terrific fights on that card. I'm sure you were watching on from afar on that night. That just shows the progression of the women's game, doesn't it?
Right. Yeah, it shows what you can do. I don't think that you could do an all-female show in the U.S. and get the same kind of turnout. Like I said, the UK fans are so loyal, and they love sports, and they love the people that represent their country, and that's amazing to see. So that's a situation where you can sell out a stadium, and so sometimes those bigger fights are going to be over here in the UK, and I'm not afraid to travel over here to get those wins.
Why don't you think that is something that's achievable in the US at the moment?
I'm not really sure what it is. I feel like boxing itself is a very volatile sport where people have a lot of opinions, and it's very individual, and the opinions get misconstrued as facts, and so people just aren't as into it. Where here, it's a sport, there's a win, there's a lose, they love it, the action, they're here for it, so it's just kind of a different vibe.
Final one for you. We've mentioned Sandy Ryan's name. I know fans over here were split which way that would go, and you will have your opinions on that, of course, as well. Could you see a rematch happening there?
Quite possibly. It just kind of depends on what she's got going on. We've had the conversation. Rick has talked to her. I believe they're on the same page about maybe making that happen again. But working with Boxer, I have to see if maybe we can do something else after this fight, and it might not include her, but we'll have to see.
Jessica, a pleasure talking. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you.